Right, yeah, so we've known a couple companies that wanted to implement superglue, and it doesn't seem to deliver everything that people want it to, but the other thing is that superglue doesn't touch anything from the front end. You know,
a few years ago, so I don't know.
Sure. So all you get in superglue is, you know, what you have in Informatica for the most part. So, you know, this is going to be quite a bit more extensive than that. And again, going back to, you know, if I take us back up to this slide here, I mean, what we're really talking about here is building, you know, just like you would build a data mart, you were talking about all the scattered data marts that you have in your environment. All we're talking about here is another little data mart to handle the type of reporting that I'm showing you in the front end here. Basically. So I'm going to take this even further to kind of actually drill down into the ETL a little bit here now. I'm going to talk about, all right, you know, now that I know where this balanced global one amount comes from, let's actually look at stuff that's in Informatica, that's in our ETL. So I can see here that my target field balanced global one amount comes from these mappings here, and this is where we get into the post-load processing mappings versus the original mappings that populate it. And I can expand this out to however many levels of reiterations that I want to. I'm just going to stick to, well, I'll show levels 1 to 2 once just to kind of show how this starts to explode from an Informatica perspective. But just for the ease of the demonstration, I'm just going to take a look at this one particular mapping here. So this is the original mapping that populates the WGL balance fact. So I get, here are all my target fields. Here are all my source fields, so this is from the staging area that this is coming from. And I basically now get to kind of walk through what my mappings look like. So I've got over here on the transformations report, I'll just kind of center that a little bit more. Right now we don't have this set up in order, so I've got to start with the WGL balance FS because this is the start of everything, the staging table. So I can see here all of my, if you're familiar with Informatica and ETL, here are all my source definitions. So my field names, which are sort of my imports and what I'm going to from an output perspective. And I'm doing a transformation type of a source qualifier. And now what I can do is basically walk through. So I'm going to this particular transformation. So now if I just come up here and pick that one, SQGL balances FS, now I can start to walk through the transformation that's actually happening here. So now I went to a source qualifier. Now I'm starting with a source qualifier, going field in. Now I'm doing expressions for the most part. I'm doing maybe a lookup procedure on this particular column. So now I can pick, you know, which of these transformations do I want to look at. Well, instead of looking at the lookup, I'm just going to skip that one for the moment and go right to the EXP GL balance FS. So you can start to see how I can basically walk through a complete transformation using this data mart to understand my Informatica ETL. I'll just kind of walk through this real quick. And eventually, if I keep following this, that's the end. So eventually I get to my target table, and I didn't have to go into Informatica at all to follow this path. Now, at this point on this report, I don't show things like, well, what are all the transformations that are happening? You know, what are the expressions of, you know, what's this lookup do? You know, I don't have those included in this report because I'm starting to get kind of guilty. But certainly all that's possible. But again, I don't have to go into the tool at all. And the reason I'm, you know, again, the reason I'm using the OBIEE front end reporting like this is because, you know, there really isn't anything in OBIEE that sort of pulls this all together in sort of like a tool. like Hyperion might have. So I'm going to kind of go over to another dashboard page here. And again, I can choose a specific dashboard or a specific dashboard page, and now I can get more information about this. Maybe, you know, going back to the example that you have where, you know, you had a group of people come in a long time ago, those people have left. We don't really know exactly everything that they built. So here I can kind of come out here and, you know, pick this particular dashboard, and I can see, well, it's got 5 dashboard pages. It's built off one subject area. There's 5 reports on it. 29 different columns are used that map back to 27 different physical tables and 99 specific physical fields. At this point, I could actually come down here and start to look at all of those tables and fields, and I can even see what databases they come from. In this case, it's all one database. But I could see here are all the tables and columns that are used as a result of people looking at this particular dashboard. So that provides me with a lot of information. Maybe I'm wondering, well, nobody looks at this dashboard anymore. Can I just get rid of all this stuff? So I can take a look at these physical tables and find out, well, are other dashboards leveraging those physical tables as well? Maybe I can't get rid of them then if they are. But I could even go as far as to take a specific report here. So I have a list of all the reports on those dashboards, and I can drill into one of them. And I can start to get information about that particular report. So I can see here are the all the different folders. So if you're familiar with OBIEE, when you go into a subject area, there's different folders that contain columns. So in this case, we've got the time dimension, the product dimension, and the stock ledger, which is probably a fact table. And if I start to blow this out, now I can see the actual columns that I'm using. I've got a year number, a description, month number, a description. I've got a division, retail amounts, sales retail amount, total markdown value. I can start to see all the things on this report. Again, I don't have to go into answers to go look up this report. I can get all this information right here.
Can you see what sort of level of detail you get around usage stats?
No, actually, in usage tracking,
Yeah.
you cannot see the columns that are on a given report.
Yeah.
You can only get to the report itself and where it's stored in the file path to the report. So usage tracking, as good as it is and as nice as it is to have, it doesn't paint a complete picture. So now, and it can't do what I'm about to do here, you know, so now I've made the leap from if you think of OBIEE, and depending on how much education you've had, there's basically 2 things. There's the catalog, which stores all the information about the dashboards and the reports, and then there's the repository, which is the metadata that stores all the information about the columns and where they come from in the tables and how everything joins together. Here I started to make the leap from the catalog to the repository, because now we're talking about presentation columns, and they're often the same from a report perspective,